hello, and welcome to Take It to School with Dr. Tom Prichard. I'm your host, JP John Paz. With me, of course, the star of the show, the former WWE World Tag Team Champion, one of the greatest trainers ever in the history of the business, the Doctor of Desire himself, Dr. Tom Prichard. Dr. Tom, how you doing today, sir?
John, I'm doing as good as I think anybody could be doing today, considering all that's going on, man. What a wild week. What a crazy day. Just what you and I were just talking about how lucky we really are and how fortunate we are and how we always, well, okay, I'll say me, talking about sometimes how, oh, woe is me. Well, gosh, man, it could be a hell of a lot worse. Thank God it's not. So
Yeah, we
I'm
were
doing,
just
I'm doing good under the circumstances. How's that work for you?
yeah, that's not
Okay.
bad. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, we were just kind of briefly talking about before. We are talking about the unfortunate passing of Jay Briscoe, which
Yeah.
was like, holy shit! Oh my god,
Yeah, you
unbelievable.
you never know, especially on the road, not just for the guys in the business, but I mean anybody with your family. Golly, man. Uh how do you it just doesn't make sense. It really doesn't make sense. So
Crazy. Yeah.
horrible.
Ibsen. Hello, Ibsen.
Awesome. Well, I'll take that. Well, and Jason. So
And Barbara. R.I.P. Jay
cool.
Briscoe. Very sad. Yes.
Very sad. Yeah. So just uh I'm thinking about his wife having to deal with all this, and gosh, what do you say? How do we? I don't know. I don't know what to say actually.
Yeah, I mean, it was just so sad. One of my favorites. I love the Briscoes. I love them boys. I've been a fan. I was talking to you before. It was 02, 03 when they first came up with Ring of Honor. Just love them. But to hear that news and have his kids involved and his daughters in rough shape, it's like, oof, man, that's just the worst.
That's
Holy
tough.
crap,
That's
man.
that's really tough. I met those guys, both Mark and Jim, when they came in for a tryout in Tampa. And the last time I saw them was at Flair's last match in Nashville. They looked great. They were in great shape. Had a hell of a match, and uh, man, just never you. Well, we say it all the time. It's trivialized, I guess, but you never know. You really never know.
Yeah. Oh my God, what a shame. Only 38, just about to be 39 next week. Just crazy.
Just be grateful and thankful every day you wake up. I mean, really, because it could be a lot worse, and just pray that it's not. Even if you don't believe, pray. Something or somebody out there will hear it.
Ibsen was wondering if they will do a GoFundMe. I have no idea. I
Yeah, I don't know either, but somebody should. We all should help step up. And um, I didn't know the guys real well either, but from all accounts, they're both good guys and both family men, and so yeah, I hope so. We could all help.
You were
But,
at
but
their
no, no,
debut.
but no amount of money, no GoFundMe is going to change what happened there.
Yeah,
It's still sad.
you were at the tryout, the WWE tryout for the
Yes,
Briscoes. Where
Tampa,
was that at?
FCW.
Oh, okay. How did that go?
Well, don't know. I don't know any other reason why they weren't hired, except maybe they weren't as the best shape they could be. That's really the only reason, or it could have been other reasons. I don't know, but they had that authenticity. They are damn boys, and they always have been. They were the real deal, and maybe that was it. Maybe they just need more maturity. Maybe they want them to go get a buzz on the indies. You never know. Kind of like whatever reason, they wound up where they were supposed to be, and were pretty damn good at it.
Jay had said some stuff on social media many, many, many years ago, and that like came back to haunt him as far as some executives not liking it. But he apologized, and I mean, obviously he's learned and
What do you
grown and
say
he's
on social
matured.
media?
Homophobic stuff, like he didn't want them
Oh, oh,
teaching that kind of stuff in school, and stuff like that. But he apologized, and I mean, and everyone who's ever met him, I mean, I went back to messages with him because I interviewed him a while ago and I forgot. I was like, oh, let me check these messages, see if I still have it. Check the
right.
message. Like, this is like the nicest freaking guy, but he's wacky, but in a good way. He's like the Steiner brothers. It's like this guy is like nuts, but you love him. He's so like cool and nice and stuff. It's
Well, well, yeah, but people like that are often misunderstood anyway.
yeah,
No matter,
yeah,
So yeah, I get it. I
And of
totally
course,
get
he said he apologized. He's matured. He learned from it. So he should have been somewhere on TV. I mean, obviously, he was in the Ring of Honor for a while,
it.
but
Man,
AEW, WWE, Impact, whatever, should have been on all of them.
yeah, yeah. And it amazes me. We used to watch All in the Family and the Jeffersons and
Yes,
Sanford Son and
yes.
all these epic classic TV shows and all this uh, crazy stuff on TV. And now, I mean, good Lord, you can't do anything without offending somebody at any time. I mean, good morning. What do you mean by that? I don't know. What the hell?
Yeah.
So it's really crazy that you can't have an opinion anymore unless it's yours, unless it's theirs. I mean,
Ibsen is wondering if they're family of Gerald. No, no, they're no relation to the Briscoes. A little bit
no,
of an homage, but no relation at all to the Briscoe,
no,
to
yeah,
Jack and Jerry.
yeah, Jack and Jerry, two different guys. But
All three shows used the N word back in the days. What Phil is saying could even be
oh
so.
yeah, possible. They probably did, but I think no, they couldn't air All in the Family today. No, no,
No,
no,
Archie
no,
Bunker, no way.
no way. And
Although if you ever watch South Park,
of course,
he
yes,
is like Archie Bunker, and Norman Lear was helping writing the show for a little bit of South Park, which
right.
is crazy to think. Which obviously everyone knows he's the writer behind
Well,
that show,
yeah,
but
yeah. I mean,
crazy, yeah.
you're not allowed to have an opinion unless they tell you what they want it to be. So anyway, yeah, I found that social media is a sewer. Twitter's definitely a sewer. I think
The worst.
Instagram. Well, yeah, I do. I think Instagram and all that stuff uh, is good if you know how to use it. But as with anything, there's going to be somebody who just screws it up for the rest of us. Can't have nice things anymore. So
I
can't make
saw
a joke. No, nobody. You can't even tell a joke.
I saw somebody recently was just posting the Raw rating, right? They did
Yeah.
1.5 million, one of the worst, but they go, "Oh, it's because the NFL did 31 million because Brady possible last game versus the Cowboys." And like, "Oh, you're just a shill for WWE making up excuses." But they were just literally listing like they did 31 million, they did 1.5. It's like, "Holy crap, these people are nuts."
Yeah, there's got to be there's got to be some reason why people are watching, and even if it's just because they want to watch football.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can't. Back in the day, we're talking about with Archie Bunker and all that stuff. There weren't computers, there wasn't social media, so people just had their opinions, and if they wanted to share them, they did, and if they didn't, they didn't. I remember when uh, people said, "Don't tell anybody who you voted for. That you're right, and you're not supposed to. It's your business, and you vote for who you want to." And then I had to go back and realize that was the culture back then. You could express your opinions this way, but you didn't want anybody to know how you felt, about
Yeah.
something else.
Yep.
And I thought, okay, what's the difference? The difference is everybody has differences, and everybody's going to say stupid stuff from time to time. And if you're going to cancel somebody, I don't know. I don't even know how I got on that, except that we were talking about Jay
Because
being
yeah, I got Jay
yeah, yeah. I
Briscoe
mean, I get that, but
somewhat canceled for stupidity
yeah,
reasons. Yeah.
yeah. There's a lot of stupidity. There's a lot of stupidity go around in the world. Trust me.
Ah, man, but just R.I.P. Jay Briscoe, and obviously well
Yeah,
wishes to his brother and his wife and his family and his
everybody.
friends. Yeah, everybody. Oh my
Yeah.
God! And today is Mark's birthday, so that's crazy too.
Oh,
I think they're 11 months apart. I want to say maybe even less, but yeah, they're very close in age, like super
yeah,
close.
yeah, yeah. It's tragedy all the way around for everybody you're doing, especially the ones who loved him. That's terrible.
To me too, Dem Boys, the Briscoes, I love them. Probably the best tag team in the last 20 years. I mean, you could throw the Usos out there, FTR. I can't think of anybody that you could say is
Well,
absolutely
they
better than
they
them.
could they could certainly hang and overachieve with any tag team they were in there. They were already at a high level, and they would go out there and raise the bar each time. So they got in shape. They looked the part. They were cutting incredible promos and having a buzz about them. And that came with the experience that they got all through these years and there was a buzz about him. There is a buzz about him, and that's the cool thing that some of those shows that get attention will bring uh, recognition upon guys who are going out there busting their ass each night and having great matches to where people who don't necessarily follow AEW and WWE, but not as passionately as they do when they see a dream match with FTR versus Briscoes.
Yeah.
Um, that kind of creates a buzz within the other guys in the company because everybody's kind of talking about it because that's kind of secretly it's some have a guilty pleasure and watch stuff like that. Some think it's useless, but I think I think having guys go out there and tell stories is definitely eye catching if they know how to do it. And all four of those guys, FTR and the Briscoes, knew how to do it, man. So yeah.
Yep.
And Grandma Daisy.
Hey, Grandma Daisy.
Of course. One of my
Barbara,
favorite grandmas of all time. Go ahead.
Barbara, just a quick football question. How does the field goal kicker miss 4 extra points in a row?
Because he sucks. he had a bad night. That's how it happens. I mean, sometimes the mojo just isn't there. I saw Austin Powers this weekend. So to everyone who's constantly offended, lighten up, Francis. Why, sure, I agree. I have to agree. I'm at that point in my life where, yep, gotta lighten up. I don't think Dick Butkus would be allowed to. He might be allowed to play, but I don't know if he'd be allowed. I certainly don't think he'd. I think he'd have to be calmed down. Yeah.
The Briscoes and Rock and Roll Express could have worked a good angle. They did actually, right?
Yeah.
Didn't they have a quick little thing?
Yeah, they did. They sure did. So
Michael throws in there because you were talking about FDR Briscoes. He's saying Steiner Brothers Nasty Boys esque from Halloween Havoc 1990. Yeah,
yeah, because those guys are pretty close, I think, and they knew each other's style and they were ready for it. So, and that's really what it takes. Guys who know each other's style, know what to expect, and you got to admit, like a team like FTR is different than the rest. They do. The knock is that they do old school wrestling. Gee, what an idea! How about doing some old school wrestling because nobody else can do it like that, and they do. You know what I mean? So
yeah, absolutely, definitely.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, I do too. But
whenever I see them or Bryan Danielson having a match, I always leave it on. Like most of the other guys, no offense, most of the other guys you can kind of skip them, but those guys you can't skip.
Well, I think getting to the fact that you have the FTR who know how to do this stuff, but also in my opinion, they're very interesting to watch and entertaining to watch. Not in the ha entertainment, but the entertaining in the fact that they're timing and doing what they do, and with guys like the Briscoes who looked the part and were the part. They were those chicken ranch, down home damn boys. They were those guys, and they understood. I don't know, man. They understood. They really did.
Now, before you mentioned a funny comment about like "Good morning," well, what do you mean? There's a guy back in the day who apparently you would say stuff to him, and he'd have that same type of reaction. Scott Hall tells a great story. He's like, and of course, talking about Macho Man Randy Savage, Scott Hall always told a great story. Hey, Mach, I really like those boots. And Savage was sitting down and got up. He's like, what the hell is that supposed to mean?
Right.
Like, whoa,
right.
whoa, you got new boots. Whoa.
Right. That's the truth. I mean, that really is. I was telling the guys tonight at a promo class that one of the reasons you need to look at the older guys is because they were kind of unique, eccentric, and crazy. And the guys like Dr. Jerry Graham or Johnny Valentine or they only belonged one place. It really was like the circus, because circus people would travel on trains and they had elephants and animals that weren't always getting the best of care, I guess, allegedly. And they would live like this every single day on the train in town, maybe 3 days, and get on the train again and ride the rails. I mean, that's true vaudeville hobo life, and that's what wrestling was back in the day, with people who just belonged, traveling from one town to another, basically being that, instead of three rings, wrestling had one. It started out in the carnivals without the ring and stuff like that. Randy, um, you know, that what other environment? He played baseball, but what other environment could a guy that intense for real? I mean, forget being in the ring. That was how he was 24/7. He belonged in wrestling or something that, didn't require a time card.
Yep. And if you think about it with Macho, I mean, he's a guy that you're not going to see a guy like him ever again. He's just a one of a kind.
No, you'll never see anybody like Macho Man, but at the same time, there are guys who will get that same recognition because not necessarily the same way, but there will be a guy come along. Roman Reigns came along, and he, I saw him in FCW when he was first starting, and where he was gaining his confidence and getting his momentum, and then going up with the Shield and things like that. So if those guys set the example and pull it off to where some kid goes, man, I want to be just like him or better than him, then it'll happen. But Randy coming up saw his dad wrestle, and he was front row to a lot of the craziness in the business, and that's where that a lot of that, in fact, most of it has been lost along the way. Is some of the ways that the old timers did weren't always good, but some of the ways were, in keeping the mystique and keeping something special about them being stars and not mingling and wanting to be like everybody else. They had the gravitas to step out and be somebody else, and they believed when they did it. So, and believe me, Randy Savage was that way. Have you ever met Randy?
No, I never have. Shockingly.
Okay,
Yeah.
nice, great guy, but he was very intense, very intense.
Ibsen wants to know what was the first time, or when was the first time you met Macho Man Randy Savage, WWF, Smoky Mountain?
I first met Randy in St. Louis. I was in Memphis working with Jarrett's, and Larry Matizik ran a show in St. Louis. And I was in a six-man, myself, Chavo Guerrero, and Tiger Conway, Chavo Guerrero Sr., and Tiger Conway Jr. against Randy, Tully Blanchard, and Eddie Mansfield. No, Buddy Landell and Eddie Mansfield, I think it was. And that was the first time I met him, first time I'd worked with him. Saw him later on in WWF. So,
What did you think about him when you first met him?
I thought he was awesome because he's one of those guys that especially because he dressed the gimmick the whole time. He didn't do it in St. Louis because he wasn't with WWF yet, but when he was, he was the Macho Man 24/7, and I liked him. Yeah, I thought he was really awesome. Could be funny, he knew how to work, even the intensity. Sometimes, he knows you expect it, but that was him.
Grandma Daisy is saying, I never liked the Macho Man. I love the Ultimate Warrior. Oh, wow.
Well, Grandma, that's okay. You're entitled to your opinion too.
Michael says Macho Man was on another level, the Waffle House story.
Yeah, yeah. There was and then the story where he and Dundee get in a fight outside the gym in Nashville. You know that one too, where Randy punched Dundee in the mouth, and
Yep.
Bill went to get his gun out of the trunk, and
Yep.
I mean, oh my God, chaos for years. There was real life stuff going on that people around there knew about, and it was a real deal that added to the mystique of the promotion. Then when they finally came in and wanted to do business, people believed it because not everybody went uh, out to dinner together, and and they made it still real when they were doing business. So
Those stories, like the Waffle House story, the gun, the him basically running down Memphis, but he's not a part of Memphis. Like, is that him? Just is he nuts, or is that him working? Is that him work
no,
shooting? Like,
that was how the vibe was back then, especially when everybody was treating wrestling as it was real. And when I say everybody, I mean I mean the boys, because a lot of people, you had your fans who believed, and then you had your fans who knew and didn't believe, and they thought they would be tough. So you had to be a tough guy. And Randy calling himself Macho Man Randy Savage and having that image, and coming from a wrestling family, I think he took pride in being that tough guy outside the ring too, because he knew somebody's going to test him, and if he didn't step up, word would get around that Macho Man Randy Savage, you know, couldn't fight his way out of a wet paper bag. So I think part of it's protecting the business, being crazy, being brought up around these Looney Tunes, and hitting Bill Dundee, is getting into a fight because he figured he had to do something to make a statement. I don't know what's going on in his head. This is just my assumption. And I think, yes, to answer your question, he was crazy. But did that add to the fussing and fighting? I'm not sure. I don't think it necessarily hurt it, but there's a
Barbara
lot of stories like those guys.
Barbara wants to know if anybody could duplicate what Macho Man did. We'll never see another one like him.
Well, no, but we won't see another Macho Man necessarily. We can see the guy. Uh, yeah, I don't know if you're right. I don't know if another Macho Man will come along because he won't have the same experiences to draw from, and a lot of that culture that made Randy Savage is gone. It's not even that ship has sailed. So the society and what we're exposed to is how we're raised, and you know whatever this generation brings to professional wrestling 30 years from now, we'll see.
Savage had a great body, extremely good worker, and amazing mic skills. How do you teach this to young wrestlers?
Well, you can't. They have to have the attitude to get in the ring. They have to have the want to get better and look better, and they have to have that on their own. That is a uh, the word what the word I'm looking for. Not confidence, but you have to have it inside you. The discipline. Thank you. I was looking for the word discipline. That's a discipline that you have to have, and wrestling's a whole different story. Wrestling is repetition, repetition, repetition. Don't do it till you get it right. Do it till you can't get it wrong. Uh, Whereas building your body, looking good, and mic skills, that's something you have the aptitude and discipline to learn. You have to want to understand and take. When we say slow down, tell me a story, figure it out. Well, I can explain it as best as I understand it, but the ones who know how to tell stories, and the only way to do that is practice, practice, practice. Randy was around some of the greatest storytellers of all time, and he listened and he loved the business too. That's I think those are immeasurable skills that we can't teach.
Yeah, I feel like it's innate in him.
Innate, yeah,
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 you can't
definitely.
you can't teach the being that charismatic and stuff like that. There's no way.
Yeah, well, you either have it or you don't. There's got to be something special. And again, um, I, I'm, there's people who truly are eccentric and truly are uh, bizarre in a way where people want to see it. Andy Kaufman wasn't everybody's cup of tea, but there were times when everybody was talking and noticing Andy Kaufman. You can decide if it was for the right or wrong reasons, but he got attention. And if you're in show business, I think you would want attention. I think everybody's looking for something, and Uh, if you don't want attention, why would you go in front of the TV and become these animated characters? And that's what I think.
Rick is saying I saw him at a local high school in Kentucky just before he hit the WWF.
Well, that was the routine back then. We we would hit some high schools. We would hit some civic centers, rec centers. You know, yeah. That see, and that gave you um, the confidence, or at least the experience, to wrestle in front of good wrestling crowds. And I say this all the time: East Tennessee and Kentucky, where Randy came up and his territory was at, they have good wrestling fans. They understand and they want to get involved. They want to have fun, and that's the idea when you go to the matches. Um, so I tell our guys all the time, or anybody who will listen, you're going to these shows and you never know who's going to see you wrestle. If you aspire to get past this, then you need to approach it. You know, don't dress for the position you have, dress for the position you want. Look like a pro, act like a pro, be a pro the whole time you go out there. Respect the fans who come out, especially on the independent scene, come out to pay good money to leave the comfort of their home where they don't have to, they got food, they got a bathroom, they got a couch, probably a lazy boy, whatever it is, but they're going to come out and sit on some hard bleachers or hard chairs and support independent wrestlers. They deserve for you to put on your best efforts. Go to the gym, look like a pro, get real gear, uh, and things like that. That's a culture that isn't out there right now necessarily. In some places it is, but as a whole, it's not like it used to be. And nothing's like it used to be. I get that. But we're talking about, will there ever be another Macho Man, or could there ever be another Macho Man? Well, I don't know if the recipe is still there. The ingredients for the recipe is still there. And that's wrestling in front of like a small crowd of 200, 300 people, and learning your craft, and getting this down pat where the people appreciate you working this hard for them and giving you a response. So so that's why I think it's highly unlikely, because the process doesn't exist.
Who does the best impression of the Macho Man?
I
There's a lot of
think
good ones.
everybody does. Everybody's got an impression of the Macho Man. I've heard some good ones. I mean, you know, he's not that hard to do, and I think he did that probably unknowingly. At the same time, he knew it was part of his deal. You know where he got the "oh yeah" from, right?
Is it Pampiro Furpo?
Yes. So I
Nice.
met Furpo in L.A. and I didn't know that at the time, but I remember as soon as he said that, I remember Furpo doing that. And Furpo was one of those old pros, really nice man, completely opposite of what he portrayed on TV. Except when I saw him, he portrayed like a intelligent beast. What? You know.
Yeah.
But he was, El Gorfy. Oh, and don't be scared. Don't be scared. I drop kicked him one night after he told me not to. Just forgot. But anyway, but yeah. So my point is, Randy learned from a lot of old timers with a lot of different quirks and stuff to it. But that one tagline from Pampero Furpo, oh yeah, that became him, and I'm sure that made Furpo's day too. So
I feel like so many people do the impression. Just anybody who's a wrestling fan, they just do it. Even the wrestlers, guys in the business. I know Bruce loves doing it.
yeah,
Scott Hall loved doing it. Jason Sensation is awesome at it. Obviously, Jason Sensation does like full 15-minute like talks, like he's talking to whoever, like his cat, and he's like, "Well, what are you doing there, cat?" Yeah, I feel like
yeah.
everybody. It's just natural. Everyone can do a Macho Man impression.
Well,
He's
and
he's
it's
one of those
yeah,
guys you just do it. Yeah.
yes, not so hard, and it's fun being the Macho Man.
That's a part of it too. You love being macho, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, dig it. She was just I don't know, just so easy to do, but so fun. The impression.
And I think, again, looking at all the things Randy did, from making sure he looked uh, like a star every single day he was out in public.
Big draw. He drew tremendous money. Yes, definitely a huge draw.
Yeah, I
No,
mean,
no doubt
it's
about it.
yeah, no doubt about it.
When you think about it, when Hogan loses the title, right, in 88, they do the whole thing with Andre. They put the title on Macho in 88 for the whole year. Business does not go down at all. It goes up. I know Hogan's still there, obviously, but business maintains as Savage is world champion. And back in those days, if you're the world champion, a lot of that is your responsibility to make sure you're still drawing. And man, did it draw, because WrestleMania 5, when he loses to Hogan, does the biggest buy rate for many, many years as far as pay per
Well,
view is concerned.
yeah, if you look back on that time period, it was on fire with the hottest uh, gimmicks in business who understood psychology and understood what was going on, and already had maybe 12, 15 years experience behind him. How long had Randy been working when he came? Do you know?
When he first showed up in WWF.
Yeah.
So he started in 73 and he came to WWF in 85. So he'd been wrestling for 10 years or so, for sure.
So how old do you think he would be? 10 years, so 30?
Something around there, yeah.
Okay,
Because
late
when he
20s.
died, he was 60, died in 2011. Yeah, so probably late 20s. Yeah.
Okay, so they had that experience behind them, and they knew they had their style down. They had their psychology down. I mean, we still watch Savage versus Steamboat from WrestleMania 3.
Yep.
You know, even though he's notoriously known for writing things down, it still worked. Um, the problem, I think, is when you write stuff down and the match comes across like you wrote stuff down, and it looks
Yes.
rehearsed and it looks
Yep.
contrived. But Steamboat and Savage knew how to make it melt together, and uh, that doesn't exist anymore either. You know, they had that experience to lean on, or at least go by. And where do you get that experience today? I mean, they go to I don't know, they go to school, they get signed, go to the PC, and they don't have the luxury of going to a different place in the country, stay for about 6 months to a year, and then come back polished up. But that,
So,
you know what, we can't. That's life, John. Can't
so
change it.
Ipson's got an interesting question here. Did you
What's
ever
that?
see Macho Man being frugal? King Kong Bundy said he was painfully cheap. Piper said in a shoot interview that he would eat off other people's plates and stuff like that. Was Macho Man cheap or frugal, as they say?
Um, quite honestly, the only time I had dinner with Macho Man was at Bruce's. Eh,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah, and that was it. I'd never been out to a restaurant with him or anything like that. But so no, I've never seen it. But
What about that dinner, though? What the hell was that all about? How did that come to be?
Randy was in town, I guess, for VOs or whatever. Bruce and Randy were friends. They were doing an angle together. Do you remember Brother Love and Macho doing the angle with
Sweet,
Dusty and
Sweet Sapphire.
yeah,
Yes.
Sapphire
Sweet
and them?
Sappy. Yep.
Okay. So Savage and them, I mean, you know, yes, he was in the office, but yes, they were doing stuff. I mean, s- the office at that time, everybody was working, and it was a busy place. I was just there to visit, so that was all.
It's funny, though. Everyone says how cheap he was. That gear that he had, never
Hmm.
wore the same thing twice. So, I mean,
Right.
he may be cheap on
Well,
certain
well,
things, but
well.
not
You
on
have
others.
when he first started out, I'm sure he was very cheap. I'm sure well, there's a lot of guys who were cheap, but he coming from a wrestling family, seeing the good days and the bad days, you know, I think that influenced him a lot. So I can understand that.
Yeah, and then
Um,
Ibsen saying here, Jesse the Body would say he kept a lot of his money, spent it on his jacket and his gear.
yeah,
No
yeah.
doubt. Yeah.
Well, you know, and once Randy started making money, he spent money too, because he knew that's what it took. And that's what I say. When by the time the world saw him in WWF, it was he was late 20s, 30s. So
Robert Brown says Macho Man was one of a kind.
yep.
Robert Brown also says Lafayette, Indiana, in the house. Oh, the cooker. Yes, Bob Cook,
Bob.
the Bob Cook. His back, knees, hips, and necks would argue all day long that wrestling is real. The cooker.
Yeah, yeah. I know. I feel your pain. I get it. And it's been foggy and rainy here, and when it gets cold, so. But no matter how long or how loud you scream or how hard you try, you're not going to convince anybody these days.
Savage was superb, says Andrew Lang.
Yeah,
Andrew
Randy
Lane,
really
excuse me. I
was.
totally
Yeah,
agree. Jason says, I saw some footage of him from ICW. Loved him throwing his own confetti and having fame as his theme music. Yes.
they did a lot of crazy stuff back then.
Those Pafos, that's kind of one of those territories. I wish there was more film of it. I know
Yeah,
there is some out there, but I wish there was more.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, I know they bicycled the tapes too,
Yeah.
recorded over and stuff.
Yep. It is funny, though, that ICW would rip Lawler to shreds, and then Jerry Jarrett's like, all right, we got an opportunity to get Macho Man. ICW is done. And Lawler's like, let's bring him in a feud and sell. So it's like, wow, Lawler, that's insanely smart, but like, no
Yeah.
ego whatsoever.
Well, I wouldn't say that because Lawler's going to bring him in and he's going to beat him a couple times too.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
But he's
he's
not
going.
going to take it
Well,
personally that
hey,
he ripped him apart for
well,
you.
no,
Yeah.
but I mean, I think. Look, those guys, if anything, especially in Memphis, and I've been there a few times, couple different occasions, and if anything, the Tennessee territory, and probably any territory, but the Tennessee territory especially was unique uh, because people were very, very passionate here. The Jarretts are passionate. The Fullers are passionate. Um, my God, the Welches, all these different families in here, and the Poffos were it was a legendary deal. Jarrett and Poffos now Warren because Randy they know is crazy to challenge them on their TVs and stuff like that, and Lawler knew, just like he did with Kaufman, hey, let's make this real, but let's talk it out because look, we can make some money here. We can be enemies forever. What? How's it going to benefit both of us? You're out of business. Come work with us. We'll make money. You got my word. I won't play games. We'll do what we have to do. So that is smart business. So
Here's an interesting thing from Robert. It says, if Hogan only ever put Macho Man over, that would have been better for Macho Man. He's saying Macho Man deserved that win. To me, which is insane, he never really put him over except for DQ, count out, stuff like that. Hogan never got pinned by Savage, but somehow that feud was able to probably be Hogan's most profitable feud, definitely Savage's most profitable feud. It just made so much money, did so much business without Savage going over. So I always thought that was crazy. It's like, wow, Savage never really beat him, but they were continually made money over and over and over.
I think as long as he was making money, he was okay.
Yeah.
And only Hogan and Savage knows what it was like to be in that position. And so we can sit here and say, "Wow, Hogan never put him over," but Hogan had his reasons for doing what he did, and Randy had his reasons for doing what he did. Everybody had their reasons. I don't look. If you're going to be in that spot, you know what that spot brings, or you find out pretty quick.
Yep.
And they both. You're right, man. Look, uh, if Hogan didn't make whatever uh, suggestions or give ideas that he did, then we don't know how it would have turned out different. It turned out okay, the way it worked, but Hogan
Yeah,
did
it's
what
hard
he
to
thought he.
imagine it turning out better. You know what I mean? It's like, how
Yeah,
could you make
right.
more money? Yeah. Yep.
And maybe Randy saw it too because Randy, even though he didn't pin Hogan, he still came. He didn't get pinned, and there were always ways out to keep both guys, uh, you know, looking good. And writing down that match for WrestleMania 3. I thought about that when Steamboat came by and our guys asked questions, and Randy says, "You guys want to hear a story?" He told them a story about Randy writing out the match, and they would number it and
Practice it,
check with
right?
each other. Hey, what's number 59, and what do we do here, and all sorts of stuff. And we had watched the match, and I said, "Okay, we're going to rewatch it," and because there was a spot in there where Randy's supposed to sunset flip Steamboat and pull his legs back, and Randy forgets. Or no, Steamboat sunset flips Savage, and Savage doesn't go back, and then finally he snaps to it, and you can see, and Steamboat pointed it out. So, um, just thinking about the time and effort he put into knowing each move was where it needed to be, but it's what those guys did in between that Randy didn't write out that made him so great. You know what I mean? He had the moves, but instinctively, those guys, you talk about innate
Yep.
ability, those guys had it too. And that's one of the greatest matches still, just to
Yeah.
watch for psychology and entertainment as well.
Totally agree. Barbara says people forget what a great athlete he was. Played minor league baseball for the St. Louis Cardinals, second base and catcher. And I remember that great story where he's a catcher, got his right arm hurt, so then he taught himself how to throw lefty so that he could still, play and be a a factor on the team. Pretty crazy
Who
athlete
does
skills he
that?
had.
Yeah, who
Yeah,
does that really? I mean, a guy who has, again, I won't forget this word for a while, discipline and the ability to do that. I mean, can you throw with both arms? I
not that
I
great with the
I,
left.
I can
No.
barely throw with one. Yeah, I
Mm.
couldn't hit the side of a barn, quite
Oh,
honestly.
I
So
could
there you go.
launch a football, but no accuracy whatsoever. But lefty probably, I don't know, 20 yards at most. But
Okay.
righty, I could launch it. But yeah, lefty, no, not like that, and no accuracy whatsoever from throwing my other hand. Forget you have no idea where it's going. But he's playing minor league baseball, being able to throw with left hand as good as he can throw with his right hand. Pretty nuts.
Yeah, yeah, pretty nuts. I agree.
Mr. Wonderful says Randy got much bigger in his WCW days. Yeah, maybe too big in his WCW days.
As far as
He was just too muscular. I thought. I feel like that ended up costing him. I don't know, maybe some injuries there. He just got almost too big towards the end of the run in WCW.
well, maybe. I mean, as you get older, though, you sometimes uh, some some people push even harder. So I think he was
Oh,
probably
he
one
was
of those
huge. He was a
guys.
little bit. He made him slower in the ring, but he was huge.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay.
looked awesome, but he was huge. Michael is saying Savage and over Hogan and Warrior all day. Wow. I don't know if
Well,
I could put him over the Hulkster, but maybe. Yeah. Wow.
we if I believe if he showed some of the newer fans a match with Kurt Hennig and Bret Hart, they would watch it, and as opposed to what's going on today, they could like what's going on today, but they could also, I think, Kurt Hennig and Bret are one of those matches that transcends time.
Yeah.
It'll get over in any era.
Yes. I always loved King of the Ring '93, Mr. Perfect against Bret Hart. I love
I
that
think
match.
yeah, I think that's what we watched last night.
Oh, I thought you were talking about SummerSlam '91.
Or
Okay.
maybe it was one of the two, but Matt Cardona was hosting this. Have you seen this one where
No.
Matt's wearing the King of the Ring thing, and he
No.
says,
No.
"Yeah, we ran across it last night, watched it."
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so
Mr. Wonderful saying Road Warrior Hawk and Randy got into a fight at a concert. He says Hawk beat up Randy. I've always heard reverse. I've heard Randy beat up Hawk actually.
yeah, who knows? I wasn't there either. So
You gotta love those stories. You gotta love that. Bobby, hey Bobby, saying Macho Man was amazing on the mic and in the ring. Yes, I totally agree.
yeah, I mean, yeah, he was. He listened to a lot of lunatics, and he followed suit.
Did you ever see or hear of the Bret Hart scale where he does the 10, 10, 10? Like you get rated up to 30 and each each
And no,
each category is worth 10. So
yeah,
promo is 10,
Yeah.
charisma, look is together as 10, so that's 20, and then work rate. So it's work rate, promo, charisma, 10, 10, 10, 30. And I was actually just talking to somebody the other day. We're trying to figure out who would be a 30. I can only think of two guys, Flair
Who's that?
and
Who?
Savage, as the only two
Flair and
30s.
Savage?
Yep. Because Hogan, I can't give him a 10 in ring, even though I want to. I can't give him a 10 in ring.
Right.
Steamboat, I can't give him a 10 as far as promo. So it's like, I don't know. Savage could be the most perfect wrestler if you really think about it. Oh, Funk probably could be a 30, but pretty close.
Well, it'd be close.
Yeah.
Yeah. It would be close. So
And Brett himself gave himself, I think, a 20 something, high 20s. I know that. He
what did
said
he
he
go?
knocked himself off on promos and charisma, I think, even though I
Ah,
wouldn't have knocked him on that one. But yeah, he was knocking himself on promos, but he might need to go back to 97 and watch him having the greatest promos in the business that year. But
well,
maybe
yeah,
he's just not being cocky, so he didn't want to give himself a 30. But
that could be it too. I mean, who knows?
was Randy one of the first to bring a female manager and not have her interfere in matches or be his voice on the mic?
Did Gorgeous George, his valet, ever interfere?
I don't think so, right?
See?
I
Yeah.
don't know, but that was an interesting thing with him and Elizabeth because she's almost like a baby face when he's being a heel, and that was such an interesting dynamic. But you can't like look away from her, even though she's not doing anything. She wasn't Sherry making herself known; she was kind of quiet and reserved. So that was such an interesting pairing. I think everybody would remember if of my age, like as a fan, like nobody forgets like Macho Man Elizabeth. They always get mentioned together.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. And I think that's, well, I know that was an extension of, no, hell, I don't know. I guess it was an extension of Randy and Liz constantly, being a little too smothering at times, I guess. And that was a gimmick.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Con Cortez, have you ever seen Macho Man versus Crush WrestleMania 10, 1994? The build up to that match is crazy. Actually, yes. We were both, believe it or not, that time. You know this. We were both at WrestleMania 10. I was
Yeah.
there 18 rows back
Yeah.
as a fan, and you were there wrestling the Bushwhackers. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He hung Crush up in the ropes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
I
So
love
yeah.
that match. Some people don't rate it as high as they should, but I love that match, and I love that feud. I feel like such good chemistry between them two because they were buddies. You know what I mean? They
Right.
had awesome chemistry.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm sure they were having a good time anytime they got in the ring.
Big fan of that match. I love that match. I love that show. WrestleMania 10 is awesome. Let's see what Barbara has to say here. Was Randy paranoid about other wrestlers taking his spot? Jake the Snake Roberts said that he was.
Well, I think uh, everybody at that time was worried about somebody coming up taking their spot because you knew it was possible. You came in and took somebody's spot, and now you had that spot, and you don't want to give it up. So who knows if Randy was high strung all the time, paranoid. I don't know. Jake was closer to him than I was, obviously. So
Let's not forget he was extremely good to kids. He talked to them, signed autographs, tell them to stay in school. Yeah, that was always the thing you hear about him. Such a good guy with charities. You see that awesome picture of him with the Easter Bunny and the softball
yeah,
games and all that stuff. Yeah, he's like the ambassador of all ambassadors there for wrestling, for sure, for a
yeah,
while.
and he enjoyed it. He enjoyed doing the Slim Jim stuff, and everywhere when he was doing the Slim Jim stuff, everywhere he went, he wore the spandex and the boots, and didn't be seen in public without it. He was
It was
that
crazy.
guy.
It
Yeah,
was crazy. I was in Wawa today, which is our convenience store here. Uh, he's still the face of Slim Jim.
right,
He's still in
right.
the box, which is
Yeah,
God knows how many years later.
I was just gonna say, or maybe they're just an old box.
No,
Yeah,
no, no, no.
hope you didn't
This
buy any. Yeah,
no, no.
they
No.
could have had that in a storeroom for about the last 10 years, John.
Hey, this literally came off the truck. The guy was putting it on the thing, and they were about to put it out. So yeah,
It
it,
could have
it
been
was
the
brand
warehouse.
new.
It could have been the warehouse for 10 years, and you're getting a big old Slim Jim from when Randy was plugging it. So
Snap it to a Slim Jim. Oh
mhm.
yeah. Uh
Yeah.
oh. Bo James, the king of Kingsport. The Paphos were banned from the Davy Crockett truck stop on I-81 during ICW. All three of them only one plate. Garvin got banned, and all the wrestlers, they had a no wrestlers allowed sign. Is this true?
That's a NWA sign, no wrestlers allowed sign. What the hell? I don't know. That sounds like falsification and nothing but a dispute that's trying to be started and assessed by one king of Kingsport. I think that there's a possibility there could be some shenanigans being pulled here, although I'm not going to go out on a limb here and say that that's the only reason. Because, again, you have something good, don't tell the boys because they will definitely mess it up. But that makes a lot of sense to me, too. Because the
Bo is
guys
definitely
want.
a Lawler guy, though, so you know he doesn't like Savage. You know he's a
Oh,
Lawler.
yeah, yeah. He's been a Lawler guy. Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. I totally understand that. And I think that the biased is showing through. But going down there and eating a couple plates or 5 plates of their buffet probably get them upset.
Where were you when you heard the news of Macho Man's passing? 12 years already without the match.
I was actually having dinner in West Patterson, New Jersey, after doing a seminar with Kevin Knight's IWA.
Oh, okay.
It was
Yeah.
on. It came on the TV. I can't remember the name of the diner, but we had just finished seminar, went to go eat, and or no, it was lunchtime when they announced it. Right? I think it was
Yeah.
lunchtime.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
it
was
was lunchtime.
earlier.
We were eating the diner. That's what he picked me up, and we went and ate it. And we saw the news. I went, oh my god. So yeah, I remember that.
I was pretty heartbroken about it, though. Huge, huge Savage guy, so it was
Yeah,
heartbroken for sure, yeah.
yeah, very sad.
Ragu. Imagine if Warrior Hogan and Savage had formed a faction, the Ultimate Macho Maniacs. I like it. I'm down.
The
Yeah.
Warrior. Well, yeah, yeah. Well, it might have worked. It would be awesome. Yeah, I agree.
Savage was a threat to Hogan's spot. Was Hogan a better politician than the Macho Man? I think kind of Hogan got Macho Man the spot, though, if you think about it.
Probably. I wasn't around Hogan that much either, so I don't know. And but once again, he was Hulk Hogan. If you're going to be in that spot, you need to understand that your ground is kind of shaky because there's always somebody trying to climb up to you. There's nowhere else to go once you're there. You're at that spot. So
The cooker is back. He says he has to count to three just to roll over in bed. Forget throwing balls at any time.
yeah, I get it. So that's good. And that's a good practice to keep, Bob, because you know you get that rhythm down. I get it.
Interesting question here. Did his relationship with Gorgeous George take a few years off of his life?
I really don't know. I've never met the lady, and I don't know. We look if he was happy, which I don't know if he ever was in the end or at any time. We all do things like that. It's just part of the chapter that we have to admit is part of our book, and then close it and go to the next chapter.
Phil wants to know, did you ever witness Randy versus Lanny Poffo, obviously his brother? If so,
I
how were they?
I have not. I did not witness any of those matches.
Ah, me neither. I'd love to see those. I didn't really realize that they had worked against each
Well,
other.
yeah, Lanning was something else in ICW, and they worked a bunch, I think, there with each other.
I know RVD's favorite wrestler of all time is Lanny Poffo, so he's got some
Good.
good guys trying to follow.
Lanny's a great guy.
His
Yeah, of
athletic ability was amazing, especially that day and age.
course. Yes, he was.
There's a match from Saturday night's main event, him against Hogan. Man, Hogan sells for him like crazy, and they're doing like this. It is like shocking, but it's an awesome match. I love it.
Well, that's how good Lanny was, and that's how good the guys respected him too.
Yeah,
So
Randy
yeah,
was
there was a
probably
lot of
saying,
that
"Be
going
good
on.
to my brother, Hulk."
Yeah,
He
yeah,
wrote
and
to
it was
me.
a respect thing. They knew Angelo too, and they got it.
Savage and Warrior tag team was fun to watch. They really worked well together. I think they were better opponents. I love their matches against each other.
I
Savage was really able to pull a lot out of the Warrior.
Yeah, I think so too. But uh, that was the times.
Uh-oh, Bo James. Doc, have you told people to watch your JPWA kids on Southern States Wrestling every Saturday on YouTube at Southern State Wrestling? Southern
Well,
States.
well, actually, our JPWA kids are on Southern States Wrestling every Saturday on YouTube. It's at Southern, no, at Southeastern. I can't read either. At Southeastern Wrestling on YouTube. So yeah, Bo's using a lot of our JPWA guys and
Southern States Wrestling. Southern
Southern
States.
States Wrestling, yeah, in Kingsport, and having some good matches and doing some good stuff in Kingsport. So yeah, if you get a chance, it's alternative and it's featuring some new kids, somebody you haven't seen, you know, out on the national scene yet. So
Oh,
check it
Bo's
out
seen,
if you. Yeah, what'd you say?
Bo's seen some ICW Randy versus Lanny matches. Nice.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I haven't seen them. So
Barbara, please tell us where you can get your book. A young Randy Savage definitely
Barbara,
deserves to
you
read
are
it. Wow, look at that.
the queen of timing, and I think
Right on
she's
time.
looking at
Yeah.
the screen too. There you go.
Yeah,
You can
right
get
on
that
time.
book at jpwrestlingacademy.com. Go to the front page and click the training uh, folder up there, and it'll bring you to that book. That's jpwrestlingacademy.com.
And of course, follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Two Man Power Trip. Check out the website, tmptempire.com. You can follow Dr. Tom on Twitter at Dr. Tom Prichard. Check out Pro Wrestling Tees and get the JPWA stuff or the Dr. Tom stuff. Also, Dr. Tom Cooker is thrown in here. Lanny and I had a tag team match against a couple of Dory Funk Jr. students at a Dory Funk show a few years ago. And Lanny did a moonsault for the finish when he was in his 60s.
Right. Yeah, that's amazing. It's like he's like Terry Funk in that sense. I mean, yeah, that's awesome.
Amazing. Jason, thank you. Jason, appreciate it.
Thank you,
Dr. Tom
Jason.
for Hall of Fame. Matthew saying hello. Anything else you got going on in your world, Dr. Tom? Anything else?
Well, we're getting ready to move to La Follette, Tennessee. This Monday will be our first class. It's like 45 miles outside of Knoxville, and not a bad drive, but it's a better place, better location, better deal all the way around, and it's going to start a new era in JP wrestling. Um, Starting our fifth year, and it's going to be awesome, John.
I love it. And I feel like we've only scratched the surface with Macho Man and his legacy and everything that he was able to do. So we'll have to talk about him another time. But good luck with everything in the JPWA. Thank you, everybody out there, for your questions. And thank you, everybody, for listening. See you right back here next week for We'll Take You to School with Dr. Tom Pritchard. We'll see you